Welcome back to the Don't Recycle Project. In case you're new to this channel or in case you just didn't know, this platform was created to break generational curses. I am your host, Pink Rose. Thank you for sharing space. But before we get into it, I want to talk about manifestation. I got to talk about manifestation because today I am joined by somebody very, very amazing. I was going through a very dark period, kind of feeling hopeless and just without purpose. I found a really amazing artist that he just spoke to my soul, and the words that he spoke just resonated with me so much. And I'm so honored that I get a chance to sit here with the Londrelle on the Don't Recycle Project. And I get a chance to not only get to know the person behind the music, but I get a chance to learn more and just also expand my awareness of myself. So Londrelle, welcome to the Don't Recycle Project.
Give thanks, all praises to the highest. I'm grateful to be here. I'm grateful to receive your testimony. I'm grateful to receive and just be in your presence, just to be in your presence, hearing your story, and excuse me, hearing just what it takes to be you. So I'm grateful to be in your presence of someone who's living their dreams and doing their best in life to receive their greatness in life. Yeah, I appreciate it.
Thank you for coming all the way from the ATL to share space and just share light and love on the show. Before we get into the music, we're going to get back to the music, but I want to get a chance to get to know the person behind the music. So let's take it back. Where did you grow up? How was life growing up? We'll take it back there.
Beautiful question. Thank you. I was born in Florida.
Okay.
Winter Garden, Florida, to be exact, just outside of Orlando, Florida. Raised by a single mother. She had me when she was 16. And my father, he died, or he was murdered when I was 11 months old.
Wow.
And so life for me began very traumatic, as if birth is not traumatic enough, but coming into the world and, with being raised and born into a single family household, that can be very trying and testing. But that was my upbringing. Growing up, I've always been a fan of music. I've always found my place in music. I've always allowed music to guide me throughout my life. I didn't really start to write music until I was about 16, 17, but I've always had a knack for just creating rhymes, creating lyrics, just in my heart, just in my mind. And growing up, I was abused as a child.
Okay.
My mother, she was very fiery. Just had a lot of anger. As a 16-year-old, 17-year-old, you don't know how to process your emotions. You're not given an opportunity to process your emotions. So I was the recipient of much of her anger and much of her rage, and that took a toll on me as a child, because I grew to be very introverted, very insulated, very not really shy, although I was told I was shy and did not speak, but just that was a result of the trauma that I experienced. So growing up, I did not have a voice, and my life has been me finding my voice through music throughout life, creating my voice through music and throughout life. But I played sports in high school. Thankfully, I played sports to keep me out of the streets and keep me out of the influence that was around me, because I grew up around murder. All of my classmates, now looking back, all of my classmates were, drug dealers, murderers,
Wow.
and everything that you can imagine growing up in the hood. So I'm grateful that music really saved my life, and music gave me a place that I can go within myself to shelter myself from the violence and the trauma that was going on in my environment. Yeah.
How did you learn to trust that inner guidance? Because to grow up in that kind of environment, your father had, passed away, and then your mom, she wasn't, at that time, the best caretaker. But how are you able to trust the inner knowing or that inner guidance, even without having the physical, parental figures there to guide you?
I guess that's all I had. That's all I knew. Was that place within me, because the world outside of me did not provide a safe space for me. And so when you're pushed in, you have no result. You have no other choice but to, go within and be within. It wasn't like I was going within, but that was the only sanctum that I had. That was the only sanctuary that I had. That was the only refuge that I had to go to and turn to. So, growing up, that became my superpower, because that was all that I knew that was my inner voice, is to trust that inner voice and to speak with that inner voice, even when outside of me, the voices outside of me were not promoting that, but that was the
Right.
only space that I can go, you
Mm.
know, to receive.
I love that. And I feel like that's, to me, that's like the genius of God
Yeah,
or the Most High, whatever you address the creator as.
yeah,
I feel like that's the genius behind like our design. It's like
mm,
no matter what, I guess, no matter where you start at in life,
mm-hmm,
there's always like a way for you to have basically a blueprint of some sort. You may not
mm-hmm,
realize that's what it is, but there's always something guiding you,
yeah,
even if you don't have anybody in real life
mm-hmm,
or you don't have any examples, or you could have started off in foster care
yeah.
or without any parents at all. But I feel like, even people who have the worst starts, they're able to still find,
Mm-hmm.
that light within themselves.
Yeah. And I think it's like the hero's journey, the hero's story is like
Yeah.
the thing that was your crutch becomes your wings and your tool that you use to, continue to grow in life. And so I think we all have, in some sense have been given the short end of the stick, and we had to make do, and we had to use our resources, or whether they were inward and outward, to make ourselves better, to find ourselves, to grow ourselves. So I think it's a part of the life journey. I mean, I don't think anybody can avoid trauma in life.
Right.
Anybody can avoid some sense of being, not being abused, but being counted out in some sort of way.
Hmm.
So you had to use your resources, and come up the best way that you know how.
Yeah, I want to talk about that for a second as far as like trauma
Yeah.
versus our perception of what, I know it may be traumatic to us in this, in this room for our understanding of what is happening or what our understanding of,
Hmm.
we don't think this person should hurt us, but it's like when you look back at a lot of the experiences, you really wouldn't be who you are today without those things shaping you and kind of chiseling you, into the person that I'm
Mm.
sitting in front of or the
Yeah.
person you see in the mirror. So it's like I feel like me personally, I'm reframing like how I view like what was, and it takes me out of the victim seat, I
Yeah.
guess, because
Hmm.
I'm reframing what was trauma or different things, because for a while it was hard for me to like forgive
Yeah.
people that I felt like had hurt me because they were supposed to show up this way or that way.
Yeah.
But when I look at it, like they played exactly the role they were supposed to. They
Yeah.
did what they were supposed to do to get me
Mm.
to go deeper
Yeah.
so I could go higher within myself. What are your thoughts as far as that, like trauma
Mm.
versus our perception of what is trauma?
Yeah. I mean, I think like trauma is a real thing,
Uh-huh.
but it depends on how your perspective on it, and how you are willing to use those experiences to
Mm.
make you better, to grow, to evolve, to forgive, to heal. Because I said,
Mhm.
like I said, no one is exempt of that. No one is exempt of adversity in life. And
Mhm.
so it's all about how you use that adversity to propel yourself even further in life, to use that adversity as a sounding board to know what decisions not to make,
Mhm.
and to not repeat the things, to not they say hurt people, so to not continue to hurt, to not recycle, like you say, recycle the things that have been
Right.
given to you, and to upcycle them in a new way that you can actually bring light into the situation and bring more light into yourself. I think it's all about perspective and
Mhm.
expanding your awareness to have more compassion on yourself
Yeah.
and those that you perceive who have hurt you, and
Mhm.
allowing more light into the situation, because it can be transformed,
Yeah.
you know.
How has becoming a father changed you?
It has made me more lighthearted. I could
Yeah.
say more lighthearted, and it has allowed me to heal in ways that I could not even conceive or perceive, just by bringing joy into my life.
Yeah.
And so joy and love heals all things. So even the things that you're not aware of, even the areas that you may not know you're insecure or hurt or not enough, love just takes the place of those things, and you don't even kind of like perceive those things or think of those things. You start to operate on a new level.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it's the most loving experience I've ever experienced. It's the most the softest experience that I've ever experienced, and it's the most healing experience that I've ever experienced, for
And
sure.
how old is your daughter?
My daughter, she's 18 months.
18
She's
months.
18
You got
months.
a
Yeah, she's a
baby?
baby,
Yeah.
baby. Yeah.
No, I can relate so much because I feel like when I became a mother, because when I became a mother, I was 19 is when I
Yeah.
had my oldest daughter. So
Hmm.
I was fairly young and still not really at a point of really ready to heal or get on the journey of healing or even knowing what needed to be healed. I was
Hmm.
just I feel like a kid looking back in hindsight.
Yeah.
But as I've, went through the journey of motherhood, I just realized like so many areas, even down to starting this podcast, was
Mm.
because of me being a mother. I'm able to see not only myself, but I get a chance to see my own parents in a
Yeah.
different light. And it gives me more compassion
Yeah.
because I'm like, I look at so many areas where I'm flawed when it
Mm.
comes to being a parent. And, areas where I thought they would have had it all figured out because they were such and such age. I'm now realizing that I'm that age that I thought they would have had it figured out and
Yeah.
I don't have it figured out. So it just
Yeah.
gives me a chance to like relate in a different way. And
Yeah.
they make me, they make me see things so differently in the world. So I'm grateful. I'm
Yeah.
grateful for the motherhood journey.
Yeah, for sure. They definitely give you so much perspective and, like you said, so much compassion for your parents because I don't think anybody has it all together. No
Yeah.
one will ever have it all together. We're just like passing the baton to the next generation and we
Mhm.
like figure it out. We're
Right.
really like figure it out because we're just figuring it out. And so the more that we can awaken, the more we give an opportunity for our children to not go through the things that we have gone through. And we
Right.
give them an opportunity to awaken even more because life is eternal.
Mhm.
Life is eternal and nobody since the beginning of time has had it all together. Even Adam and Eve, they didn't have it all together.
Right.
And so, or figuratively, Adam and Eve, the first creations of
Mhm.
God. But we're just on a journey back to God, and we just do our best. We do our best to serve God and be awake and be aware the best way that we know how. Because I don't think there will always be like minute and minuscule traumas that are going on, even though
Mhm.
we don't know they're happening. Our kids will tell a different story, and so it's
That
important for
part.
us to do our best,
Do
to
your
do our best
best.
and communicate with our children. Hey, I'm doing my best.
Uh-huh.
This is what's going on, and I'm doing my best, so they can always know to do their best as well.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And just going back to even my own daughters, it's like, I realize there's areas where I'm learning myself still. So it's hard to teach them
yeah,
those areas of themselves. And I'm still learning like those parts of myself. So, like you said, it's just a process and
hmm
just being patient and being compassionate with ourselves because don't none of us have it all figured
nah,
out. And
for
I don't think
sure.
we ever truly will. I don't
No,
think we truly ever will. And I think that's why we're here in the first place is
yeah,
to learn and to
mm,
evolve and to
yeah,
grow
hmm
beyond the things that have happened to us in our past.
yeah,
So it's a process.
yeah. It is. It is.
What does self-care look like for you? Like, how do you balance being a father,
hmm
being a husband,
Yeah.
and also a music artist? Like,
hmm
how do you balance and, make sure you're still taking care of you?
hmm I realized when I first, began the parenting journey, it's not really all on me. The more that I can be present in my life and be where my life calls for me to be, the more I don't have to worry about like, am I doing it right or am I doing it wrong? Am I finding the balance? I really just give my life to God and allow God to work through me.
Mm-hmm.
And so what that looks like is just it's finding moments of stillness, opportunities to be still so that God's energy, God's love can pour through me. Because sometimes as parents, as people who have all of these dreams and goals, we think it's all on us.
Mm-hmm.
But I've realized in my journey, especially my parenting journey, that I was never doing anything. I was never doing anything. I was never becoming anything.
Yeah.
I was just allowing God to be God in my life.
Mm.
And so I found more comfort in that. I find more balance in just allowing God to be God. And that comes from, years and years of meditating, but now I don't meditate as long as I used to
Really?
because I know it's just finding moments of stillness and allowing God to pour himself into me, pour
Mm.
itself into me, and then go about my day, whether it's doing podcasts or, taking care of my daughter or taking out the trash or loving on my wife.
Mm-hmm.
It's really just allowing God to be God in my life and
Mm-hmm.
and that takes a burden off of you. You take the burden off of yourself where in some sense you may feel like you're losing yourself, but really you're allowing God to be God more and more in your life, really.
That brings me to my next point,
Yeah.
surrender.
hmm
It sounds like surrender
Yeah,
as
it
far
is.
as like it's a funny dance between feeling like you're the one driving
Yeah.
and then sometimes it feels like you're kind of the one, making
Yeah.
decisions and you
hmm
feel this pressure to I got to get up, I got to make things happen.
Yeah.
I got to be the one to if I don't do it, then nobody's going to do it.
Yeah.
But then there's moments where you just realize that honestly, I'm
Mm.
not doing this.
Right.
It's
Yeah.
like that moment where you just know
Mm.
God is the
Yeah.
one controlling everything and if
Mm.
God didn't want it to be
It
no
would
matter
not
what
be.
you did, it would
Yeah.
not be happening.
For sure.
You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I'm also in that same
hmm
I find moments. It's not
Yeah.
so much of me sitting there with my
Yeah.
eyes closed Indian style
hmm
and
Yeah.
I'm meditating. It's more of just, finding moments to realize like, wow, God is
Yeah.
this is God. You know what I mean? Even this moment is God.
hmm Yeah.
So really that gives me peace too.
hmm
Just knowing that something beyond me is
Yeah.
actually orchestrating everything.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, we didn't choose to be born.
Right.
We didn't choose to be created. That happened through the will of God. And everything after that happens through the will of God. You know, we think we are, you know, I think I am Londrelle and you think you're Rose, but truly
Right.
we are just God appearing as Rose, God appearing as Londrelle and experiencing God in this moment as this moment. And so is what I call surrender is more so allowing.
Mm.
You know, more so allowing, relaxing into the moment, relaxing into your body, relaxing into all that you are, and allowing, because something will happen. You just won't be still forever. Something will happen.
Right.
Some thought will come to you. That thought comes from the mind of God. Some ambition will come to you. That ambition comes from the mind of God. Some desire will come to you. That desire comes from the heart and the mind of God. And so it's leaning more into allowing your life to be life and allowing it to go how it goes, because it will go somewhere, because you've come somewhere, come from somewhere. We've come from somewhere. And so it's like we don't have to have all the answers. We don't
Right.
have to have all the knowledge, the intelligence, the wisdom. Though life may seem like we're supposed to have all that knowledge and wisdom, but you know, I feel like all that we're supposed to do is allow God to be God in our lives. And some people may say, "Well, what am I going to do?" Something will come up.
Yeah.
Something will come up if you just allow, and it doesn't look like stillness or sitting down and meditating. Stillness and meditation is really, I do believe, a state of mind where you can just allow God to be God. And that comes for me, that comes through devoting my life to God so that I can hear that voice, and serving God through my music, through my art, through my poetry, through my books, through my relationship with my daughter, my relationship with my wife, and my relationship with everyone, is allowing God to be God and surrendering, relaxing into the moment, you know?
Why is it so hard for us to let go of control? Like, why do we feel the need to, like, we actually, if we were in control, if God literally gave us all the control, we would be freaked out. Like, if God said, okay, make your lungs expand, make your eyes blink. Since you want full control of everything, then how about you take the wheel? We wouldn't know what to do with that kind of control. So it's like, why can't we just relax? Why is it so hard for us to do that, knowing that we wouldn't be sitting here taking another breath if it wasn't something beyond us, you know, again, orchestrating this. So letting go of that control, it's not easy.
It's not easy, for sure. But I guess the closer you draw to something higher than yourself, the easier it becomes, because you know that there's something blinking your eyes and taking that breath and assimilating all the food that you take in. So as you draw closer to that awareness that is God, then you become more relaxed in where you are, and that comes with experience. You know, you just don't wake up and say, "Okay, I'm surrendered to God." You have to go through things, and you know, it's the contrast in life that makes the picture of life. So it's the ups and the downs that really get you in the groove of allowing and surrendering. Yeah.
Another thing that helps me realize that, like, I go to the beach a lot, and I'll just sit there and I get a chance to look at the birds. And have you ever seen like a bunch of birds flying in sync, and they know when to go up? And it's like, what is controlling them to, like, what knowing do they have to know when? And it's down to the T. There's not like one turns and then the rest of them follow suit. It's like they're all in sync. And I feel like that is like total surrender and flow. Like, if you were able to, like, you know, see it in the physical realm. And I feel like we're controlled by that same, like that same.
That cosmic mind, that understanding.
If we can relax and get out of the way, and just allow, you know, I feel like we would just be going through our day doing things that I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm doing it because I just feel the need to. We would end up exactly better than where we think we want to be. I feel like God's taking us places that we don't even realize. Our imagination really can't even conceive what the big picture looks like for ourselves. Sometimes we have this small picture and we think that's the best thing that could ever happen for us, but there's like a bigger, you know, bigger something that you're being prepared for or you were created for, but you have to get out of the way.
You have to step back. Like, you have to really like zoom back, like in that moment of awareness where you're watching the birds, you're zoomed out of life. You're just, you know, you're being the witness, you're being the watcher, and you can see how things are in harmony. I think when we become too engaged in life, and engagement in life is okay, you know, but when we become like almost like disengaged to the point that we can watch and witness, we realize how things are in harmony. But if we can zoom back even further from ourselves and from the scene, we will see how things are truly in harmony, but we don't have that ability to zoom out and see how the whole universe is in cosmic order,
Yeah.
how this conversation is in cosmic order with things that are happening all
On
over the
different planes.
universe,
Right.
all over the cosmos on different planes. And so when we begin to really just step back, and allow God to be God, then we can see how things are really just in order, and how our entire lives, the ups and the downs, the traumas, the experiences, how they all work in harmony for this moment, how they all work in harmony for this moment.
It's
Yeah.
beautiful. Let's get back to the music. You
Yeah.
just had a new project drop,
Yeah.
Kingdom Child.
Yeah.
I checked it out. It's amazing, just like the rest of your catalog. Super amazing.
Give
Where
thanks.
did this? What was this project inspired from? That's a hard question.
That's a hard question. I think everything leads up to it.
Yeah.
Everything has led up to it, but more so a shift in really receiving my atonement, really receiving my anointing, and embracing it. Receiving myself as a child of God, really like a child of God, really as Christ, just as Christ seen himself, just as all the great saints and mystics have seen themselves, really seeing myself as that, and embodying that truly. Like I said, it's a journey though. It's a journey. It's not like you wake up and realize that you're a child of God. It's a process. It's a journey.
process.
It's an awakening. It's an awakening process. It's a spiritual journey. And so it's really not just one thing. It's a multitude of things. It's the traumas. It's the heartbreaks. It's everything. It's my seeking of God, my devotion to God that has allowed me to arrive as this person today and keep arriving as this person today. So it's really not just one thing.
Yeah.
There are tons of inspirations that go into the music, that go into who we are today. So I wouldn't say one thing. I would say really everything.
When did you, I know you mentioned that music was like your thing that you used to like kind of escape to,
Yeah.
From the world that you were surrounded by as a
Yeah.
kid. When did you realize, or when did you feel the conviction that your music was not for just you, it was a gift for, the world, and that the world needed music like yours?
Yeah, probably more recent than anything. 2020 when
Really?
COVID came around, because I believe like my whole music catalog, it was specifically for COVID. Like people can actually go through the whole catalog of music. So I gained a lot of fans, I gained a lot of supporters, but I also saw how impactful the music was during COVID time. Because the music before Kingdom Child is more inward. It's more sit still, be still, sit down and listen to this music and heal yourself and work on
Yeah.
yourself. And the world had an opportunity to do that during
I
COVID.
think that's when I found it.
Yeah.
Found your music.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that was the first time that I realized that this music is not just for me. It is for multitudes of people, because we're all having the same human experience. And so COVID gave me an opportunity to really see that.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, I'm pretty sure that's when I found your music,
Yeah.
and it was just speaking to me in a way that I'm like,
Yeah.
whoa. And your music just puts the situation into words, and it just makes you feel so heard and seen, and also like you're not alone in these moments.
Yeah.
A lot of the things we go through, we feel like we're so like abnormal, or like I'm the only one that's ever went through this. But like when you turn on a Londrelle track, especially during that time, and even your new music, it just makes you feel comfort.
Yeah.
I would say that's a good word for me.
For sure.
Comfort. Yeah.
Yeah, I give thanks. I think it comes from being authentic to yourself, feeling everything, feeling all the feels, feeling all of the emotions, and allowing yourself to be true and honest. It's not like I do it on purpose, but I just do it because that's just how I feel. That's just how I've always expressed myself, is through music. And so I'm grateful that people could connect from my story with their story and make it more tangible, make it more present, and show a way that you can work through it. And not even show a way that you can work through it, but just allow yourself to mentally work through it. And if you mentally work through it, you can physically work through it. Yeah.
Have you ever struggled with, I'm sure you do, imposter syndrome?
Yeah.
Because I feel like that's something that even on the way to this interview today, I was telling you in the hallway, I'm like, who am I to interview Londrelle? Like I was listening to him help me through dark times. Like who am I to now sit and interview him or have a conversation and share space with him? But then I had to meditate, and I just kind of, made my thoughts get quiet, a little quieter. And I'm like, if I wasn't supposed to be here, if I wasn't the person to be able to share space, I wouldn't be sharing space.
Yeah.
So how do you deal with imposter syndrome, if that's something that you feel like you've ever struggled with?
Yeah, truly, all the time I do. All the time, every day. in some sense.
Mm-hmm.
But it's realizing, for me, it's realizing that this moment and this is this moment, and I can't avoid this moment. I can't push away this moment. This moment has called me into it. I didn't choose this moment. You
Right.
know, it has come through many different decisions, but the decision to believe in that larger voice, not the smaller voice, but
Mm-hmm.
to believe in that larger voice and follow the larger voice, even though the smaller voice is there. You
Yeah.
know, always double checking if are you sure, but this moment
Right.
proves that, you know, I'm supposed to be here,
Right.
because, you know, you can't avoid the moment. And if you are in the moment and you are with the reality of your situation, it's like, this life has called me here, this moment has called me here,
Mm-hmm.
even though I feel insecure about it. You know, it's not me. It's
It's
not
not you.
me.
Yeah.
It's all God. And coming back to that voice, to know and understand that it's all God. I don't have the words to say. I don't
Right.
have I don't even know where the conversation is going to go. I don't even know where the moment is going to take me.
Right.
But I know God is this moment, and if I can meet God in this moment, God will arrive, and God will show why He is God in this moment. And so that takes a ton of pressure off, to know that, you know, God is always going to be God.
Yeah.
You know, and just allowing that. I think I have a deep trust in God, a deep relationship with God, to know that, like, we're like that. That's my best friend. Like,
Mm-hmm.
and so I don't trip. I don't trip. I just trust every moment to, you know, God is going to be God, and I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm up for the ride. I'm just
Yeah.
along for the ride, truly. I'm just along for the ride.
In those moments, I feel like it's a matter of like, am I serving my ego or am I serving,
Yeah.
God? Like, am I doing this? Like, why am I doing this?
Mm-hmm.
And then when I get to the bottom of that, and then it's like, okay, I have to move forward
Yeah.
because this isn't,
Yeah.
it's not really a choice.
Yeah.
And again, if I wasn't supposed to be here, I
Mm-hmm.
wouldn't. So,
Yeah.
just really, I guess, affirming yourself,
Yeah.
the
Mm-hmm.
affirmations.
Yeah, really affirming yourself,
Yeah.
and truly knowing who you are. Like, you believe in the larger voice more than you do the smaller voice, but
Right.
the smaller voice is just coming there to, like, give you a little push even. So, like I said earlier, it's the contrast of life. Even the
A
small
little
voice
resistance.
adds a little contrast to say,
Yeah.
no, I can break through this wall.
Mm-hmm.
And the more you break through that wall, the voice becomes smaller and smaller. It's still there.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you don't have to listen to it. One thing that I've been taught to do is to identify that voice and, like, give it a name, so
Yeah.
that you, oh, Sherbert, what are you talking
Okay.
about, Sherbert?
Yeah.
Oh, so you give it a name, so you
Yeah.
know what voice that is, and you know which voice to follow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think the misconception that I had for a while is
Yeah.
I thought that it was actually a voice,
Mm,
like a voice like you and I,
yeah.
like there's Londrelle's voice and there's Rose's voice. But I realized that the voice, it sounds like it's all me. It doesn't actually have a voice. It's just a bunch of thoughts
Yeah.
in my mind. But you can tell the difference because one is coming from a fear
Yeah.
approach and one's coming from a faith approach. So you get
Right.
a chance to see which voice is,
Mm-hmm.
speaking to you and which voice is telling the lies. So
Yeah.
I
Mm-hmm.
love that, giving it a name, because I feel like giving it a name kind of creates an identity,
Yeah.
and you get a chance to,
Yeah.
okay, I got you.
Yeah, you get a
Get
chance
out
to
of here.
step away
Yeah.
from it. And, like, programming is such a real thing.
Yeah.
You know, from radio to television to movies to advertisement, is such a real thing that we've been programming so many different ways subconsciously. We don't know whose voice that is. And
Exactly.
so we just have to trust the voice that is in this present moment, that is keeping us going forward. What is going to move the needle in the right direction?
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
You have to really believe the affirmations.
Yeah.
Because a lot of us, we repeat these affirmations almost in a robotic way.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't feel like that really, you have to really
You
feel
have to
like
feel it.
I
You have to feel
can
it.
do
Yeah.
all things.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
really believe it within yourself. And I feel like that just kind of shuts everything
Shuts
else
that
up.
noise down. Yeah.
Yeah.
A feeling definitely overrides a thought.
Exactly.
Just a simple thought. Really feeling it, because that's energetic. Thoughts do not really carry too much energetic power, but feelings carry much more energetic power to thrust you into the action and the emotion that takes that energy, emotion, which is emotion. And so yeah, feeling is definitely a great part of, receiving your affirmations and applying those affirmations and actually embodying those affirmations as
part.
well.
Yeah.
Because you have to I think, like, if an affirmation would be the seed, the feeling of it would be the water that would really waters that
Watering
seed,
it,
waters
yeah.
that seed, and waters that seed.
That belief.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
it's like a lot of people say, I believe in myself, but it's like, what do you believe about yourself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because we all have self-belief to some extent.
Yeah.
Everybody believes in themselves, but it's a matter of what are you actually, telling yourself that you can or that you can't do. You know what I mean? Really affirming the can do's.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And
More
feeling
than the cans. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How do we, like, as far as, like, trauma's real,
Yeah, for sure.
fear, and a lot of things that have been, like, rooted in us, from before we even were on this earth. Like, how do we uncover and, get rid of those deeply rooted fears that,
Mm-hmm.
you may not even realize they were passed on to you. They were
Yeah.
just kind of programmed into you. Like you
Mm-hmm.
just see yourself in the mirror as a Black man, and
Yeah.
now you just have this
Yeah.
knowing of, your limits
Yeah.
because someone else told your father or your, you
Mm.
know what I mean? How do we get rid of those?
Beautiful question. I think it comes through the decision and the choice to choose love every time.
Mm,
Because we're faced with a million opportunities to choose love in the
mm-hmm.
face of fear, in the face of doubt, in the face of envy and jealousy. It's just a decision to choose love in each and every moment so
Choose
that you can
love.
arrive at a more loving decision and be a more loving person in each and every moment. I think it's a bunch of little decisions because, it's what, 6 o'clock right here and right now. Since the
Mm-hmm.
moment that we've woken up, we've chosen to make decisions. And every
Right.
decisions that we've made today has led us here.
Mm,
And that's life. Life is so many decisions.
mm-hmm.
And so if we can make the more loving decision in each and every moment, remember to make the more loving decision, remember to make the more loving decisions, because we're always at a fork in the road.
Right.
Even in conversation, even in, disagreement, even in dialogue, we're always right there at the fork in the road to make the more loving decision or to go down the road of fear, of anger, of jealousy, of
Right.
pride, or to follow the small voice and go backward. And so I think life is an exercise and life is an opportunity to awaken. And the more we can choose to make the more loving decision, is to choose to awaken in each and every moment, And it's like, okay, once we're awakened, we know all that we are and we don't second guess it.
Right.
We don't question it. We don't look in the mirror and say, who's that? We know who we are.
Right.
Because we made the more loving decision. Choosing ourselves is choosing love, and choosing love is choosing ourselves, our true selves. And so it's a practice. It's a daily practice in each and every moment to choose love.
I love that.
Yeah.
And just really, it sounds like, a part of that is just being able to be present.
Yeah, and be present for sure.
Because if you're present and you're able to not think about what happened or what would happen or what so-and-so told you would happen if you did this, it's like you actually get a chance to see the best decision at that moment when you're at those forks in the road.
Yeah, for sure. It is presence.
Yeah.
It is presence. And life calls for us to be present in each and every moment because, we don't know how we got here. We don't know
We
how
really
we got
don't.
here. We
Yeah.
can't even conceive how we got here because there's so many decisions that have went into it. So much programming that has went into us being here and now. And the moment just calls for us to be present and let God be God. And when God is being God, we're going to choose love every time.
Every time.
Every time.
I love that.
Yeah.
You mentioned media and programming and like all the different tricks that they play, whoever they are.
Yeah.
But
whoever they
I
are.
want to ask you, how do because I feel like a lot of the media and a lot of things that we're faced with today, it just keeps us in a state of fear,
Yeah.
like on a collective level. How do you, kind of remain in the world, but not of the world as far as when it comes to like your creative process?
Yeah.
Because it's easy to kind of stay in this survival mode. And I feel like when
Yeah.
you're in survival mode, it's hard to really let, yourself be channeled and
Yeah.
really receive, pure
Mm.
messages of love and
Yeah.
peace and, these things. But, if you were to turn on the TV right now, there's the little red thing going across the bottom
Yeah.
of breaking news, so-and-so's going for president.
Yeah.
Like in the midst of so many distractions and so much noise,
Yeah.
how do you remain kind of free from those things?
I think I remember that I am the creator of my experience. So whether we all experiencing the same thing,
Right.
but I am the creator of my experience, which means I determine how I feel about it, how I think about it, how I respond to it, or how I react to it. And so a reaction is reacting everything that we see. And so if we can understand that we are the creators of our experience, we can begin to create a different experience within ourselves. So regardless of what's going on outside of ourselves, we are giving ourselves an opportunity to perceive it in a certain way. And so I don't allow experiences to determine how I feel. And so I look at creation as very innocent and very neutral. It is what it is. And I get to choose how I respond to it. Not how I react to it, but how I respond to it. And so that's the world will always be the world. The world has always been this way. The world will always be this way. And so heaven is within ourselves. And so
Right.
creating an environment of heaven within ourselves to know that it is what it is. I get to choose how I judge it, how I experience it, and I don't judge it. I just allow it to be what it is. And so releasing that judgment, oh, that's a bad thing. That's an evil thing. I get to choose what I get to do about that thing, but I don't judge that thing. I allow it to be what it is and choose they say the high road.
The high road,
try
yeah.
to choose the high road, but the high road for me is really choosing, to see what am I going to do about that?
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to create a different environment? Because I know what's in the world is also within me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm not quick to judge the world. I'm not quick to judge myself. Once again, I'm going to make the more loving decision in that situation. How can I be loved to myself in that situation? You know, viewing the world as it is, and how can I be more loving to the world? You know, my response to the world is always my music. You know, because if I can change myself through my music, I know that I can change the world or inspire somebody to change the world. You know, like Tupac said, I may not be the one to change the world, but I will
I'm
be
gonna
the
spark
one.
it.
I will be the one who sparked that change. And
Yep.
so I think we all have that responsibility is to be, you know, is to be so that we shine as a light to the world and let the world respond to us and not responding to the world. And so again, it's just not judging the world, not saying that you should be this way, you should think the way that I think, but being who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, allowing that frequency, that energetic vibration to impact whoever it impacts so that they can change in the way that they feel better about themselves. And you know, as one candle lights another, one match lights another, it's a trickle down effect.
Yeah.
You know, I really think it's a trickle down effect. Yeah.
I believe that. And I feel like we're, you know, we get a chance, like you said, to choose our experience.
Yeah.
And we get a chance to, I think that's the one thing we actually do have control over. We talked about control earlier.
Yeah.
I think we control our perspective and our reactions to things on whether or not we want to give this our energy and our attention. I think that's the one thing that we, you know, as we coexist and co-create with the creator, I feel like that is the thing that we have full control over is like how we're letting things affect us or not affect us and how much time, because people will come to me and tell me news and I'm like, I don't really, I don't care. Like if it's going to affect me at some point, I guess I'll, you know, cross that bridge when I get to it. But right now, I don't really, I have no energy to give it. Like I really don't care.
Yeah.
Some people see that as careless or irresponsible. I don't know, but I'm having fun in my world, kind of just in bliss because it's like half these problems, you know, you watch the news, like honestly, what can I do about it? Honestly, like what can I do about this or that? Even if I did want to care, like the only thing I can do is be, you know, drained of my energy and like what does that do for, like you said, the rest of the world?
And you could choose to be a better person because I do believe like the world is a reflection of us, and if we see something wrong in the world, it's an opportunity to see where that wrong is within ourselves, because all of this is just a projection. You know, all of this is a projection. So if there's evil in the world, there's some bit of evil within us. If there's, you know, vileness and ridicule and envy and jealousy in the world, it's somewhere within us. And so like I said, we're responsible for our experience. So if that evil and that injustice in the world makes us feel a certain way, then we can see that there's something within us that needs to be resolved. There's something within us that needs to be healed. And so the world is a great opportunity to look at yourself. And if you look at the world and you see a certain thing that doesn't trigger you, that means you're right within, and you can continue to be right within.
Wow.
You know, and so the world is a great mirror for us to look into and say, okay, I feel something. I feel something there. So let me go within myself to see what that is. Let's investigate. I think we just pass things along and say, okay, well, I can't do anything about it and I won't do anything about it. You know, you can't, I think we can stop at can't, but let's go say, but what am I willing to do about it within myself? You know, within myself, even if it's, you know, in Palestine right now, what can I do about that within myself? You know, because a million people had to say okay for that to be okay.
Right.
That war. So let me see if I feel that there's a certain war going on within me, and I've resolved that issue. If I see war in the world, I'm going to speak up about it. I'm going to do something about it. But because we haven't done anything about the war going on within ourselves, we can just, okay, that's okay.
Right.
That's okay because we said it's okay within here.
That's deep.
Yeah.
Yeah, that mirror.
Yeah.
It's hard to, I don't think that's a big concept to grasp, you know, to realize that you're the one, like you said, this is a projection of what's going on as within, so without. And it's like when you really can grasp that and understand that on a deep level, it'll really, you know, open your eyes to yourself.
Yeah, because if we're going to say that we are created in the image of God, then we know that we are projecting is the image of God within ourselves. And so we have to resolve that within ourselves so that the world can be a better place. You know, they say that you can't change the world unless you change yourself, and that's true. You know, that's entirely true because the world in itself is a projection of who we are. Wow. And if everyone is you, you know, and everyone is a reflection of you. The world is so a reflection of you as well. And it may feel like a huge burden, but it's not. It's an opportunity to awaken. It's an
Mm.
opportunity to awaken to yourself, and you see all of this going on within me as
Mm-hmm.
you are hearing and listening to the world and perceiving the world. You realize that I have some. The work is an awakening.
Mm-hmm.
It's awakening and being aware of the issues, the problems, and the moment that you are aware of the issues and the problem, there is healing because your
Mm-hmm.
awareness is healing. Your
Yeah.
presence, and when you're aware, you're present. You're with it.
Yeah.
And when you're with it, healing automatically flows into you because God is being God when you're present. I think like God wants to do so much within us,
Yeah.
but we shy away from the truth.
Oof.
We shy away from the truth, but the more that we just face the music,
Yeah.
we can allow ourselves to be present. And whenever we're present, that's where God is.
Yeah.
God is only in the present.
Yeah.
Yeah, God is only in the present.
The present.
Yeah, that's where it's at. That's
a beautiful
where it's
place to
truly
be.
at.
Yeah.
Because everybody who's in a psych ward, everybody who's in a hospital,
Uh-huh.
they've been avoiding the present moment, pushing things off, ignoring things. That's where dis-ease comes from, ignoring the present moment. And so the more that you ignore the present moment and face your thoughts and face your emotions, the more you push yourself into dis-ease.
Yeah.
But the more you become present, aware, you're like, let's just be here. Let's be now. This moment has
Right.
called us to be here. Whatever feelings I feel, they're there
Sit
for a
with it.
reason.
Yeah.
I've suppressed them for so long, but now they're rising up out of the subconsciousness of my mind and out of the subconsciousness of my feelings and emotions. So the more that we can just be present with it, we don't have to do anything about anything. That's one thing I always tell myself, I don't have to do anything about anything. And that releases the burden of pushing things away.
Yeah.
That gives me the opportunity to release the idea that I can do anything about anything because I don't know how I got myself into this situation.
Right.
Through incarnation after incarnation, life after life, decision after decision. I don't know how I made this decision to be here and now.
Right.
So I can release the burden of thinking I have to do something about it. And like I said earlier, that's allowing God to be God and allowing God to work through that because only God knows. Only God knows. And so that releases a lot of burdens off of us.
But that takes me to my next point. I want to talk about like our relationship to pain because I feel like pain, we don't think that it's supposed to be something that we feel. And when we do feel it, we feel like we're supposed to run from it. A lot of people, like you said, in the psych ward, they felt that discomfort or that dis-ease and they go to drugs, they go to drinking, they try to get rid of the feeling instead of sitting with it, not trying to run from it, not trying to do anything about it, but just allowing that feeling to just feel it and see what it's trying to tell you or where maybe where you're hurting at instead of trying to numb it. And I think that's that's what gets a lot of people into the state of, needing to be hospitalized because they've tried to, numb it and they've ran from basically themselves, trying to heal themselves. And you do that for so long and it's like, you go crazy. So it's like nothing, I don't think anything beautiful really comes without pain.
Without pain,
childbirth, it's one of the most painful experiences on earth, but you wouldn't have life without it. You cannot go to the gym. I hope you don't go to the gym and feel no pain because you're probably not getting gains. But,
no pain, no gain.
So it's like pain is a beautiful thing. And we have to look at pain as that same thing, when we feel discomfort, whether you're feeling anxious or depressed. Even before I came here, I was sitting in my car and I'm like, I'm feeling all this energy and it's, it's not really the most comfortable feeling. And I'm like, man, I'm anxious. And I'm like, but it's a good thing. Like my body is getting ready to do something great. I'm right now, I'm a vessel. I'm getting ready to be used to share a big message to the world. So let my body just, have its moment to do what it needs to do to prepare for that, I think a lot of us are afraid of pain and pain is not anything to be afraid of. It's a beautiful sensory, that we were equipped with.
Yeah, it's something to feel.
Yeah.
I think like it's a part of the birthing process of the, because we're always being born anew. We're always being born anew. And so when you experience that turbulence of pain, it's like, okay, I'm shifting now. I'm arriving now. I'm emerging now. Once we bring our awareness on it, we can see the emergence. We can see the arrival of a higher self because we're made for evolution. And like you said, the birthing of a human being is not without pain. The birthing of you in life is not without pain. We're always going to be going through those seasons of, okay, this is very painful emotionally, physically, energetically, but a new me is being born anew, and I don't know this new me. I've never met this new me, but if we allow that space for, once again, presence, and allowing ourselves to hold space for whatever it is,
Mm-hmm.
a new us can emerge, and we can come out of the conversation, we can come out of the interview or come out of the situation with a new state of mind, a new state of awareness. We can be transformed by the renewal of our minds. Yeah.
An area that's been very uncomfortable for me is solitude.
Mm,
I've been dealing with
yeah.
solitude, and I'm always blasting your
Yeah.
song called Solitude.
Yeah.
It's amazing because
Mm.
it just, again, speaks to exactly.
Hmm.
I know it's a moment that I need.
Yeah.
It's like, you need solitude, but it's
Yeah.
just one of the hardest things. I feel like that's been like an ongoing
Hmm.
lesson, or that's definitely been something that I feel myself always coming back to and
Yeah.
trying to continue to like grow through
Mm.
that season for myself.
Mhm.
And it's definitely not the most comfortable because
Yeah.
it can make me, it makes you feel isolated
Hmm.
and just, a lot of feelings that came up for me in my periods of solitude were, feelings of, am I good enough? Does
Mhm.
anybody love me anymore? And
Yeah.
I'm like, even that, like I started to journal and I'm like, why does me being alone make me question my worth, question if I'm loved? Like, why does it go to that extreme? So what are your thoughts about like solitude?
Yeah, that's what happens. Really, that's what happens.
Yeah.
All sorts of things start to come up, and that's
Yeah.
good. That's a good thing because you
Mhm.
get to see where your mind is at. You get to see where your emotions are at, and you get to make the decision to take them higher or to continue to allow them to, stay in a low vibratory state. The feeling of being alone, the feeling of feeling unwanted and not needed is a low vibratory state. And so you get an opportunity to raise your vibrations, to lift up your mind, to lift up your heart,
Mhm.
and really know the completeness of your being, the wholeness of your being, the enoughness of your being. But if you don't give yourself an opportunity to be still and to experience moments or seasons of solitude, you just go about life thinking in a certain way, and you don't notice your insecurities or your doubts or your
Codependency. Yeah.
And so it's a great opportunity to allow things to come up.
Mhm.
So not that so you can do anything about them, but to see where you stand in them and how they make you feel, and you get an opportunity to say, I don't want to feel that way.
Yeah.
And I don't have to think that way anymore. So it's a great opportunity to not only that, but to allow God to pour into you,
Because it's
yeah.
like in my solitude, I find that's when my best ideas come up.
Mhm.
That's when I'm feeling my most creative. I
Mhm.
feel like when I get past that hump of like the uncomfortable feelings,
Yeah.
like there's obviously moments where I feel like I could have company right now. Like I want to
Yeah.
go out to eat.
Mhm.
I wish I had somebody that I could
Yeah.
go. But it's okay. It gives me a chance to continue to get to know myself better.
Mhm.
But there's a lot of moments where it's like I just
Yeah.
find so much peace because I just feel like that's when I feel closest to God is when
Mhm.
I'm like alone.
Yeah.
So as much as I don't like it, it's also like I
Yeah.
know that it's like
Mm-hmm.
it's a beautiful thing at the same
Yeah.
time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's like the butterfly in the cocoon, or the caterpillar,
Right.
the caterpillar in the cocoon. You need that solitude, you need that stillness, because out of that emerges the butterfly. So I think we all deserve a little bit of, even if we're in relationships, marriages, or have kids and children, it's still great to experience some moments of stillness and silence so that you can rebirth yourself and be born anew in each and every day. You don't feel like drained down or weighed down by the day or your life.
That's
Yeah.
beautiful that you're able to, find a partner and still, that I think that's a part of the healing that takes place when you're alone,
Yeah.
before you do find your life partner or husband
Yeah.
or wife, because it's like, there still has to be a you,
Mhm.
no matter if you're married, no matter if you're in a relationship, you still have to know how to come back to self, and you
Yeah.
can't rely fully on someone else to
Mhm.
regulate your emotions. So
Yeah.
it's a needed period that
Yeah.
happens a few times,
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we come into this world alone. We go from this
We
world
go
alone.
alone,
So
yeah.
we need to experience that aloneness,
Right.
so that in every process of birthing and dying, we feel comfortable with that turbulence that
Yeah.
happens when we have to be alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It also gives you a chance to get to know your shadow,
For sure.
the
For
shadow
sure.
self.
Mhm.
That's what
Yeah.
I want to talk about is the shadow self. Just
Yeah.
uncovering that side of you that was suppressed or repressed, and just
Yeah.
finding those pieces of yourself that you kind of stuffed away because
Yeah.
you felt like they were shameful, or like how have you dealt with like integrating your shadow self? Because at one point I felt like it was about being a good or bad person,
Yeah.
and the more I learn and the more I grow and the more I gain awareness, I realize it's about becoming a whole person.
Right.
Not
Yeah.
so much black or white, but
Mhm.
just being able to use all sides of ourselves to,
Yeah.
show up in this world.
Yeah. Beautiful question. I think we talked about programming earlier.
Uh-huh.
And so there's a lot of programming that goes into the shadow self. And there's a lot of programming that goes into the individual of who we want to be in the world. And so it's not, for me, it's not being so attached to either or either. You
Mm.
know, it's like this light just before me.
Mhm.
It's like I'm here and there's a shadow behind me. So where
Uh-huh.
am I? You know, in the
Mm.
equation, I am not the individual here. I'm not neither the shadow and the light that shines to give me
Mm.
awareness of both myself and the shadow. And so it's not taking either or either too seriously. Not taking the shadow too seriously, not taking myself too seriously, knowing that I am the awareness of it all, the
Mhm.
ability to perceive it all. And so in which direction do I want to go? Do I want to continue to dwell in the qualities of my shadow, my fear, my anger, my jealousy, my resentment? Or do I want to shine as the light who is aware of all of these things and integrating the lessons that I've learned from being fearful, the lessons that I've learned from being judgmental or
Mhm.
envious or jealous? And all of the qualities of the shadow self. How do I integrate the lessons into my personality? How do I integrate the lessons into my purpose and
Mhm.
my endeavor at life? But how do I still, through it all, remain aware that I'm neither or neither, but I'm just the awareness of it all?
Mm.
And if we can, once again, zoom back from being the person, the individual, and all of these qualities and traits and this becoming and unbecoming and
Mhm.
being, we can progress through life a little bit more. Of course, we have to live life. So with life comes our individuality and our personality.
Mhm.
But for me, it's not getting too attached to, you know, my
Attachment.
personality and
Mm.
not too attached to this person as Londrelle and what Londrelle is supposed to be in the world and how Londrelle is supposed to show up in
Right.
the world, not being attached to it, you know?
I love that.
Hmm.
I love that. How do you handle like self-sabotage moments where you feel like you
I'm
got
not supposed to be here.
yeah, I guess
Yeah.
that's the imposter
Yeah.
syndrome, but
Hmm.
also just kind of, working against yourself at the
Yeah.
same time. Like I
Hmm.
feel like sometimes, even with this podcast,
Hmm.
I got episodes right now that needs to be put out, need to be
Yeah.
edited, but every time I go to try and
Yeah.
like
Hmm.
find time, it's like I come up with excuses or I
Yeah.
find myself kind of procrastinating.
Hmm.
So I'm realizing, okay, you're self-sabotaging.
Yeah. Mm.
And that leads me deeper. Like, what is that fear that I have of
Mm.
success, fear of
Yeah.
failure? So it's like self-sabotage. I feel
Yeah.
like a lot of us do it,
Hmm.
and that even is a program that we
Hmm.
have running within
Yeah.
ourselves that we don't sometimes realize, like we're doing things to keep ourselves stuck,
Yeah.
or
Hmm.
we're so used to feeling like we're not good enough, so we're always finding ways to reaffirm that within ourselves.
Yeah.
How do you like overcome those emotions, like that self-sabotage?
Yeah. I think it's many different decisions that lead into that. And
Mm.
so I'm always mindful of my little decisions
Uh-huh.
throughout the day because they lead to greater decisions. And so if we can become more and more aware of, as I become more and more aware of the ways that I'm self-sabotaging myself, I begin to make the minute adjustments to see
Right.
how that self sabotaging behavior shows up in my personal life, my
Mm-hmm.
business life, and just make the little decisions along the way so that I can break free from those cycles. Because it's not just it shows up as you're sabotaging yourself, but in this one area, it's in different areas.
Right.
So if you can notice it and make the decision
And
once
be
again,
aware.
the loving decision to show compassion for myself
Mm-hmm.
and say, okay, I'm going to do just this little thing. I'm going to write down this note
Mm-hmm.
because I know it reminds me to go in a different direction, to
Mm-hmm.
take a different train of thought, and just making it, little by little, because sometimes we don't realize how we're sabotaging ourselves in different areas of our lives. And
Right.
so it's really just goes down to your day-to-day life and being more present
Mm-hmm.
with your life and making the decision that moves the needle in your direction.
I think it comes
Yeah.
back to that, just
Mm,
always being
yeah.
present, trying to be as present as possible
Hmm.
most of the time.
Yeah,
I
and
know we
present
can't
is not
always
really like
be
thinking about
uh-huh
anything. It's just
aware.
being aware of yourself, being aware of what you're doing, because we know right from wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We know the direction that we want to go, and we know the direction we don't want to go.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's easy to make the decision to go in the direction we don't want to go.
Right.
To go in the direction we want to go, we have to believe in ourselves. And
Mm.
sometimes just the programming teaches us not to believe in ourselves. Just the little voices of people who doubted us when we were younger.
Mm-hmm.
All that subconscious programming from 0 to 7 years old. It's all there, and we're just working through those thoughts, working through
Right.
those.
We didn't even
It's
realize we
yeah,
were
we
being
don't,
programmed.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so a lot of times it's not us who's sabotaging ourselves. It's just the
The
programming that we have.
programs.
And so the moment we can notice that I want something better for my
Mm-hmm.
life. I want something better for myself. Let me make the decision to go in the direction that I want to go. And so it's a tough decision, but if you can just follow that energy of that decision, that energy will take you to going through the hurdles that you have to get over yourself.
What advice would you offer to someone who feels like, they're stuck trying to find their purpose? They feel like they don't know what their purpose is. They don't really feel like they have a purpose.
Yeah.
What would you speak to in that way?
I would say, like, do what you love and love what you do. Love always takes you into purpose. The purpose is to extend love. God created creation to extend his love and allow his love to flow as a channel through each and every person. So anytime you fall in love with something that you love doing, automatically you become purposeful in it. You begin to serve in that. You begin to feel joyful in that. You begin to feel purposeful in that thing. We're all vessels and conduits for loving energy to flow through us. So I always tell people, when it comes to finding your purpose, is to do what you love, even if it doesn't make you money, even if people are not clapping for you or applauding for you. Purpose is that feeling of, this is what I'm here to do. This is what I feel within myself. I feel purposeful.
Joy when I'm doing
I feel
this.
joyful when I do it. And just following that joy, following that feeling of, I just really love doing this. Nobody's watching my podcast. Nobody's listening to my podcast, but I really love doing it. And the more we do what we love, the more we become a channel for love to extend itself to us, so that we can continue doing that and doing that and doing that. I don't think purpose is not about people seeing you. Not people will naturally see you because you're a light. People will naturally listen because you're speaking from your heart. You're speaking from a space where you feel confident in yourself, which is in love. And so purpose for me is always, doing what you love and loving what you do, and allowing that love to continue to flow through you.
And I think, right now it gets kind of tricky, because in a day and age of social media, and, we all kind of have this, it creates a desire to be seen or feel like you need to be validated for everything you do.
For sure.
Instead of just having this, like you said, you're doing it because you love it. You're doing it because it brings you joy. It's not about likes. It's not about how many people are going to see you or, applaud you. And being able to stay true to that and know, what you're doing and why you're doing it.
Yeah.
Being able to stay in that flow.
Yeah, because God sees you. Life sees you, and the intelligence to be able to do something doesn't come from you. The knowledge comes from you, and the knowledge that you garner and gain, but the intelligence to actually organize you doing this, it comes from a source and a force greater than yourself. So the ability to do something is a great opportunity to see yourself. The ability to do something is a great gift from God. And so I'm always giving thanks and gratitude for my ability to speak, my ability to perform, my ability to write music, because that comes from something greater than myself. And that intelligence sees me wanting to receive that intelligence, receive that gift, and use that gift in service or to share. And it keeps giving. A lot of times we suppress our light. A lot of times we suppress our gifts, and we feel insecure in them. We feel like, okay, nobody's going to see them because we suppressed it. And if we don't shine that light and we don't share that light, naturally we will feel insecure. Naturally we will feel like, okay, I'm not supposed to be doing this. But we know what we are here to do. It's the thing that we love. And the more that we do the thing that we love, the more we become a conduit and a channel for more of that love to flow through us. But we question it based on society's trends and say, you're supposed to be doing this, or you're supposed to have this type of job at this age.
Somebody might have said you suck. And you believe that.
Yeah.
Instead of your inner knowing that it's opinions. People have, they're entitled to their opinions, but you still have your inner knowing that you can go by and still continue down that path.
Yeah. And even if you do suck, you love it.
You love it, right, exactly.
And if you love it, you'll get better. You'll get better. You'll get better. You'll take more care of it. Just because somebody says you're not good at it doesn't mean you're not supposed to stop. You're supposed to get better at it. And so
evolve.
Evolve. And grow.
A lot of us are afraid to be beginners, and look like we don't know what we're doing. We think we're supposed to have, but little do we know, the more you do something, you have no choice but to get better and better and better.
Yeah.
No matter what it is, sports, as long as you put in, the practice and the time and the dedication, you're going to get better.
Yeah, naturally.
Yeah. Trusting the process.
Yeah.
And being patient. That's been a key in my life, being patient and having the strength just to sit and wait without expectation, just continue putting in the work and just continue to show up. And whenever that door opens, whatever door, like how has patience, how have you dealt with being patient as
Mm.
far as being an artist?
As a Virgo, I'm naturally patient. Like I'm
Okay.
naturally like it just is what it is. I'm chill like that. So and so
Mhm.
it is what it is. I do my best to put in the work. I do
Mhm.
my best to receive the intelligence, the knowledge, the wisdom, the creativity to be able to express. So
Mhm.
even in that process of receiving and going through the motions, I'm just in gratitude because I have been given this gift. And that for me is the most precious thing that I can ever receive. Not the recognition, not the awards, not the money. Nothing can compare to receiving the gift, feeling the gift flowing through me, using the
Mhm.
gift to share the gift. Nothing compares to that. And so
Mhm.
everything else just comes with the
That is
territory
the
of,
prize.
yeah, that's the prize. Everything
Mhm.
else just comes with the territory of, doing the work. I think doing the work for me is the most satisfying thing because in doing the work, I'm serving God and I know I'm serving God,
Mhm.
you know?
And it's going to reach and touch
Yeah.
whoever it's supposed to.
Yeah. Yeah. And for me, I'm not even thinking about the
The
recipient.
outcome. Yeah, it's
I'm
for you.
receiving.
It's for you.
I'm really receiving
I
in the
love that.
process. I'm receiving in the process the ideas, for me, creativity, and receiving the gift of creativity is a whole supernatural experience for me
Yeah.
because it's healing for me, it's awakening for me, and
Mhm.
I'm blessed to be able to share what I'm receiving and what I'm experiencing through my voice and through my creativity. But more than that, I'm just grateful
It's
to,
like an honor
yeah, it's an
that I was
honor.
chosen to be
Yeah.
a channel.
And we're all chosen. Like the
Yeah.
shirt says, we're all chosen.
Chosen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we know that we are receiving something very unique to us and nobody has this gift of
Mhm.
expression, whether it's verbally or just being. Being is
Mhm.
an expression as well. And so, just, yeah, it's a gift. It's a gift to
I love
receive.
that because that gives me so much peace
Yeah.
knowing that someone else may have a podcast,
Mhm.
someone else may make music.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people on this earth that do a lot of things, but we
Mhm.
all have our own fingerprint.
Yeah.
Nobody is going to deliver the words like Londrelle.
Right. Yeah.
Nobody's going to, they may have a podcast, but nobody is going to deliver the podcast like I will. So just having that peace and knowing that you really can't miss what's for you.
Yeah.
There is no timeline, even
Mhm.
though, society tries to say
Yeah.
you're too old to do this or do that. It's like, how can you be too old when there's nobody that can do what
What I can
I
do.
do or
Mm.
what nobody can bring or channel? I mean, I feel like there's a collective, you know, cloud of ideas that we can tap into,
Yeah.
but I feel like I feel like God chooses certain people to
Yeah.
deliver certain things,
Yeah.
for a reason. So
Mhm.
I find peace in knowing that.
Yeah, and it's truly that like the soul, the individual is a personal channel for God to pour,
Uh
and
huh.
God just wants to pour and extend His love. And so, the more we can make ourselves available to that, the more God begins to use us, not for our purpose, but for His purpose. And it comes across like like you said, we have access to infinite intelligence, infinite
Mm-hmm.
wisdom, infinite knowledge, infinite creativity. But if we don't make ourselves available to our portion of that,
Mm.
then we don't get to express that.
Yeah.
And just being ourselves is the way to receive. Just being who we are and not trying to cloud that or fake that or make it a facade. Just being who we
Just
are.
be who you are.
It's our way to receive our personal overflow from God. You know?
Mm.
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Tell us about Eternal Sunshine.
Mm.
What it's a book. It's a book, and I know I saw
Yeah.
you also have an app.
Mm-hmm. I have an app, Eternal Sunshine, a
Okay.
book, Eternal Sunshine, and my publishing company for my books is
Okay.
Eternal Sunshine. It was inspired by Janae Aku's song, Eternal Sunshine. That song has got me through my darkest days. Just that
Really?
song
Okay.
alone. When I was running across the country, raising funds for victims of police brutality, and living on the streets. That song, living on the streets willingly,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
willingly, willingly, but because to raise funds for victims of police brutality. That song got me through my darkest days. That song was my motivation to start my publishing company, to write that book. And so it has become my publishing company. The
Okay.
name of my personal app, Eternal Sunshine, that feeds or that gives daily inspiration and motivation. We also have meditations available as well, and podcast talks as well, conversational talks available as well. But Eternal Sunshine is, you know, for me, it is receiving the light from God and knowing that it is eternal and it will get me through this life and beyond. And so it's receiving my own personal light,
Mm.
embodying my own personal light, and sharing that personal light, shining that personal light to all those who receive, you know?
That's beautiful.
Hmm.
That's beautiful. I'm gonna have to download the app
Yeah.
so I can tap in.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you were able to come all the way to LA,
Oh yeah, it's a
all the way
pleasure.
from the ATL to
Mm.
share space. Are there any last words that you want to share
Um.
with the audience or the viewers?
Yeah. I guess be still, be present, be here, be now, and allow God to be God. You know, it's as simple as that. It's the practice of mastery. Is being still, and being still doesn't mean sitting down. Being still is just being present,
Being
being
present.
aware, and allowing God to be God. Because God wants, especially in this season, God wants to pour His overflow and give His overflow to His children. And so, because the world will always be the world, but there are seasons and periods of time where God is really giving. God is really given, so that we can give and share with each other the fruits of that giving. And so, yeah, be still, be here, be now, and be love. That is my greatest message. That is my most prolific message: is to be here, be now, and be love, and allow love to just flow through you. Because love wants to change you. Love wants to heal you. Love wants to make you more confident in yourself. Love wants to, make you more joyful, and just allow love to be love and make the more loving decision in each and every moment. Life is full of decisions,
Full of them, yeah.
full of decisions, and full of choices. And so, if we can make the decision and the choice to love in each and every opportunity that we have to choose love, we can find ourselves becoming more lighter and lighter, our lives becoming more brighter and brighter, more impactful, and we can find ourselves in more harmony with life because life just wants to love us. Yeah, life just wants to love us for sure.
That's
Mhm.
so much truth.
Mhm.
So much truth.
Yeah.
Where can they find you at if they want to check in with you on social media,
Mm.
or if they want to buy an album, or
Mhm.
where can people find you at?
Instagram at Londrelle, Twitter at Londrelle, or X. It's called X now, I
X,
believe.
yeah.
X now at Londrelle. Threads at Londrelle. Everywhere that you can find a social media handle, you can find me at Londrelle. My music is on all platforms: Spotify, YouTube, Tidal. What else is there? Apple Music.
Apple, yeah.
Yeah, Londrelle. Please do.
YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube. Everywhere that you
Yeah.
can find everything is just my name, Londrelle. I go by Londrelle. My books, Self Care Package, Eternal Sunshine, and Sunflower Soul. All of those are albums, but those are also books at Londrelle as well.
And the new album drops.
Yeah, the new album,
The new
Kingdom
album.
Child. Actually, it's a mixtape. It's a
A
mixtape.
mixtape, okay.
It's a mixtape. I believe mixtapes allow me to express myself from a different perspective with a little
Okay.
bit more freedom. Mixtapes is like a style. It's just a personal
Yeah.
expression of freedom. So the mixtape, Kingdom Child, Part 1, it's out now. 8 tracks for all 8 chakras.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Go and get that.
Go
Go
and
and
get that.
download it. Go and stream it, whatever. Find him, Londrelle, on Google. You will find all the platforms. I'm in awe of God right now because
Yes.
I'm sitting here sharing space and it just feels amazing. It feels so natural.
Mhm.
And I hope that something that we spoke on, I hope that it was able to inspire, transmute pain, and gave you more understanding about yourself, maybe about a previous situation or even your present situation. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It was
Thank
a
you again.
pleasure and honor to just converse about, life and the mysteries of life and go places. Go
Yeah.
places in life. Yeah.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of Don't Recycle Project. Please follow us on IG, on any platform at Don't Recycle Project. Please follow me at I am Pink Rose. Until next time, recycle your trash, not your trauma. Stick around. We got a surprise. Londrelle's going to give us a really dope mental note. He's going to drop some bars, I think, or maybe just a meditation. So stick around until the very end. Peace.
Peace, family. I thank you for being here and now, being present here and now. I would like to guide you through a brief meditation to allow you to receive the grace of God, the grace that God has placed over your life in this moment. So if you feel safe, I invite you to feel safe. Please gently close your eyes. I'll close my eyes with you so that we can begin to create a vortex of love, of joy, of peace, of purpose, of energy, of awareness within ourselves and around ourselves. Just allow yourself to become aware of your breath, the movement of your breath through your body, rising up your spine, up into your third eye, the Christ center. Exhaling down the spine and to the root chakra at the base of your spine. Watching the breath flow up the spine, through the heart, into the brain, renewing your brain, refreshing your brain, recharging your brain. Exhaling back down the spine, allowing yourself to rest in the root chakra at the base of your spine. Continue to watch the breath and be with the breath. As you breathe in the affirmation of I, exhale, am. Breathing in the affirmation of I, exhale, am. Breathing in I, exhale, am. Allow the breath to go and flow at its natural pace and rate. As the inhale flows in, affirm mentally I. As the exhale flows, affirm mentally am. I am is your true name. I am is your true essence. I am is your true nature. All that you are is I am. And whatever you say, whatever you speak after I am, you animate, you become. Resting in I am is resting in grace. Remembering I am is resting in the presence of God. Knowing that you don't have to do anything or be anything, become anything. You are that I am. I am is your nature. I am is your name. As you rest in I am, you receive your personal, what I like to call grace over your life. God is pouring into you light from above and below in all directions. A light to ignite your life with peace, with more presence, with more awareness, with more love. I am is how you receive the grace of God for this moment, this day, and this life. Whenever you feel clouded, whenever you feel in judgment of yourself, and doubt of yourself, and ridicule and judgment of yourself, come back to this powerful affirmation of I am. I am is the Alpha and the Omega, the beginning and the end. You came into this world as I am. You will leave this world as I am. Coming back to I am is coming back to your personal power. Coming back to I am is coming back to your greatness. It is the energy that fuels you, the life current, and your personal channel with the Creator. Resting in I am. Breathing in I am. Resting in I am. Breathing in I am. I am is all that you are. I give thanks and gratitude for this moment. I give thanks and gratitude for this opportunity to rest in the presence that is God. I pray that you continue to evolve. I pray that you continue to grow and expand your joy, your love into this world. Remember, all that you are is I am. Know yourself, witness yourself, and be yourself. You are love. Be great.